السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا. My name is Ajwaf Zaman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahla wa sahlan. We are going through Sarf. My name is Ajwaf Zaman. If you guys are not familiar with my channel, check out this channel, Roots of Knowledge. It's a bit blurry, I know. Right. If you guys are interested in this kind of merch, let me know, inshallah. But anyway, this is Sarf, understanding Sarf. Alright, so let's get on with this then. So at the moment in Sarf, we are actually going through what we call Ajwaf. Right, so Ajwaf is, so we've done 3 of the past ones. We said Tala Yatulu, this is with the Dhamma on the Ain. You got Qala Yaqulu, which is the Fatha on the Ain. And this is Khafa Yakhafu with Kasra on the Waw. So these are 3 scenarios. And like I explained, this one is done. Now we are actually looking at the Mudari. And we said there are only 2 Mudarits that you actually get in the Ajwaf Wawi. Right now, if you remember, I did mention to you guys that the Harf al-Illa, if I can find it, the Harf al-Illa is, here it is. Right, so we said the Ajwaf, the Waw, you only get Tala, Qala, Khafa, meaning Dhamma, Fatha, Kasra. Then you got Ya'i. Ya'i, inshallah, we're going to start most likely next week. Next week, inshallah, we'll start that, or next lesson. But all you have to know for this is, in today's lesson, what I'm going to be covering is we're going to be doing Yakhafu, right? How we change Yakhwafu into Yakhafu. And the second thing that we're going to be learning is we're also going to be trying to do some examples, right? And I'm going to give you like a layout of kind of map. Slowly start drawing for you guys a map so you guys understand where everything goes, right? So it's good to have a map in front of you. I mean, a really kind of excellent idea would be if a person could sort of like draw this massive sort of map of the Sarf and then slowly understand where they are and then slowly build from that, and they can see how much they have left to progress. Anyway, let's get on with today's lesson then. So, Yakhwafu. If you remember last week, I said to you, Yakhwafu, when you change it, when you make the changes to this, you have to remember, first of all, that you have a waw over here, right? Now, if you ever have a waw in a word, and before the waw, you have a sukoon, right? Like over here, this is the same concept. You must switch over the vowels. Yeah, like over here, vowels have been switched over. Right, so you got this, Yakhwafu becomes Yakhawfu. That's the first rule. And the second rule of this is that whenever you get in a fi'l, an alif, whenever you get in a fi'l, a waw, and before it you get a fatha. Right, whenever you get a alif, and before it a fatha. Actually, let me write this down. Right, so you got alif, so you got waw with fatha before it. So what you have to do basically is that you have to change it into an alif. Right, so over here, similar to what we done, if you remember when we did the past ones. So tawala became tala, right? Tawla, and then qawala became qala, change middle with alif. The same with khawifa became khafa. So you got like a fatha before it. That's the kind of rule to remember. It's going to be very useful to you, especially when it comes in the Quran, when we look at certain examples. Right, so the same applies to all of these. Now, I don't want to draw all of these out over here because I don't want to make it too long, right? So I want to kind of just give you guys the understanding so you guys know how to make it yourself. So, okay, so let's make some of these then. So, for example, like, okay, Yakhwafu. So, let's say, for example, we had dual. So, it would have been Yakhwafani. Yeah, so Yakhwafani. So, Yakhwafani would have changed into Yakhufani. And then you'd have the other step. So we'll just skip those 2 steps and we ultimately are left with yakhafani. Yep. Yakhafani. So 2 steps have taken place there. Same with, for example, like if it was yakhwafuna. Yakhwafuna. Right? This is going to change into yakhafuna. And so forth. So all of these are going to... So if we were to do a random one, let's say, for example, like taqulina. So this would have been takhwafina. Takhwafina. So takhwafina now becomes takhafina. Takhafina. Okay, takhafina. So change has taken place, right? So you can clearly see what's happening over here. That's where the change has taken place. That's where the change has taken place. That's where the change has taken place. Yeah. That's where the change takes place. So you kind of get the idea of how changes occur in this. Now, for example, like if you were to do Jama Mu'annath, right? So feminine, plural feminine. Like for example, like takhwafna. Takhwafna. Right? So takhwafna. So obviously over here, you first of all have to, switch these 2 over. So you got takhawfna, and then you got to get rid of the waw, right? So reason being is because, let me just do this quickly. So takhwafna, switch these 2 over, right? So you're going to be left with takhawfna. Now what's the problem over here? Can you spell the problem? So if you notice there's 2 sukoons there, you can't have 2 sukoons. So what you have to do is you have to replace them with an alif, right? So we get rid of, let's get this blue one over here, get rid of the waw, and you're left with takhafna. Takhafna. Now I've actually just jumped a step really. Really there was supposed to be another step over here, right? Which was basically takhafna. That's really the step, and then it goes into there. Right, so this is the kind of middle step. I skipped it out. Just want to show you guys how this kind of like roughly works. But I'm sure you get the point of this. Right, so this is basically what we have when we do takhafu, yakhafu. Alright, so the past of this is khawifa yakhwafu, and this one is qala yaqulu. Right? Okay. Now let's have a go. I think what we should do now is have a go at some random examples, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of how we're supposed to go about it. So for example, like let's say we had gnome, right? So just see if you can see this. Gnome. Okay, no. This is the masdar. This is the root word. So this is actually from nama yanamu. Right, nama yanamu. Now, if I said to you, okay, what was the original of this? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the dictionary. You're going to look for the origins of this word. And in the dictionary, you're going to find that this is going to tell you where it's from. So if I just quickly, let me just, a dictionary. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay. Right. So, hope that is visible to you. Try to move it out of the way of the light. Let me just try to make the light a bit brighter so that you guys can see us on. Okay, so should be visible now. Alright, so let's go to nama yanamu. Now we're going to have to look for noam. Noon, waw, mim. Okay, press OK. Now this brings up this now. So you see over here. Right, so if I if I bring this up over here, what you guys can see now is Noam, Nama, and this is A. So A refers to Nama Yanamu, meaning in the Fatha position. Yeah? To sleep, to slumber, to go. So we're not interested in that. All we're interested in is how it recognizes over here. So Nama Yanamu. Now, it doesn't tell you in the past what it is, right? So was it Nawima Yanwamu? Was it this? So because I'm going to show you something now. Because let's put it aside. By the way, this dictionary is a fantastic dictionary, and I would suggest you guys, try to utilize the dictionary as much as possible. So when we're looking at this word, we say we know that it's Noam, right? Noam. Okay, we know that it's Noam, but we're not really sure about, is it Nawama, or is it it can't be Nawuma, because obviously that's Fatha, or is it Nawima? Right, so you got that kind of like little issue over there. And Yanamu, what is this then? Right, so this obviously, because it's got the alif there, you know that it was a Fatha originally. So this definitely was Yan wa mu. Yeah, Yan wa mu. Right, so you got this Fatha. Okay, so it's a Fatha, like for example the Khafa Yakhafu one. So now we look at the past over this. Now what we find is, if we actually look in the Quran or in Arabic language, what we will find is that the past for this, if you remember when we did, where is it gone? Okay, so if you remember when we did Khafa, so it's exactly the same as this. So it's actually Khafa, Nama, Namu, Namat, Namata, Nimna, Nimta, Nimtuma, Nimtum, Nimti. So we know, okay, so it follows this. Therefore, the Ain kalima would have been a kasra, like Khafa, exactly the same. So it would have been Nama, Nawima, Nawimu, Nawimat, Nawimata, Nawimna. It would have been that. Nim. So then it becomes with a kasra because of all the changes. So that tells us, so this is why, when you're learning this, it's basically sometimes like you're trying to reverse engineer it. You're trying to use a combination key. Let's say you have a bunch of keys and you need to open a door. Sometimes you got to try one and then you try the other until you find the right one. Similarly, that's what happens in this case. Sometimes you just have to keep trying and trying and trying. Right? So now you're going to know this. You're not going to forget it really. You're going to say, okay, Nama was originally Na, we, ma, and Yanamu originally was Yan, wa, mu. Yan, wa, mu. And then the appropriate changes that take place would take place for this one. So this is one of those words. Okay, let's do another word, right? The next word that we're going to look at is a bit of an interesting one, right? And the reason I'm saying that it's interesting is because there is a difference of dialect in it. So this is moat. Okay, moat. Now let's have a look. Motun. Let's have a look in the dictionary. Let's grab the dictionary, let's check it out, see what the dictionary has to say. Okay, so what does the dictionary say? So let's moat. Mawata. Alright. Moat, there is. Okay. So it says mata, and it's got a U there, which means dhamma, right? To die, to perish. Now, it doesn't really have it here, but I'm going to explain something to you. This word actually appears in the Quran. In two places it appears in the Quran. In one place, in the past, right? So, the past, was it ma wata, or was it ma wita? Yeah. So basically, was it like qala, or was it like khafa? Because if it was like qala, then the pattern that you're going to have is going to follow the qala pattern, right? So it's going to be mata, mata, matu, matat, mat. And then when you come to here, you're going to say mutta. Yeah, mutta, which will be the dhamma. All right? So, or is it going to be from khafa? If it's from khafa, then you're going to have the same as nama. Mata, mata, matu, matat. Then you're going to have mitna, mitta, mittuma, mittum, mitti, mittuma, mittum. So this, because of different dialects that the Arabs had, there's two ways that this was pronounced, right? So in the Quran, for example, like it says, وَلَئِن مُتُّمْ مُتْتُمْ or قُتِلْتُمْ. Yeah. So you got muttum there. أَإِذَا مِتْنَا. And you got mitna. Mit. Okay, I missed out the noon. Let's put the noon there. Mitna. And that's also found as well. Muttum means you all died. Mitna means we all died. But notice the difference. This one has a dhamma and this one has a kasra. So this one, as you know, would belong to the qala pattern. And this one would belong to the khafa pattern. Right? So that's something to be aware of. Now, if it's from the qala pattern, then we're going to have maut, yeah? Mata yamatu. Mata yamutu. Mata yamutu. Yamutu. And if it's from the mawita, if it's from khafa, then it's going to be mata yamatu. And these are both different dialects. There may be like slightly different variations in the translation of the Quran as well in those places. But the point is that what this basically does is that gives a very, very good understanding of how the Arabs dealt with different dialects as well. So this is why you can find actually two. So for many verbs, sometimes you might have 2 or 3 different ways the Arabs used to say those words. So mawata, mata yamutu, or mawita, mata yamatu. Right? So you've got these variations over here. So if you were to draw this up according to the qala pattern, like I said to you, you're going to be drawing it up according to this, right? And if you were to draw it according to the khafa pattern, you're going to be drawing up like this. Now, I don't want to spend too much time drawing these tables up. I just want you guys to understand how they work. And so now, whenever you're going to come across something in the Quran, so let me just grab a Quran. Okay, so let's check out in the Quran. Okay, Sud Ahsan al-Khaliqeen. Let's go to a beginning of a surah. Let's go to beginning of Surah Tawbah. Let's try that. Okay, so أولى خير من الله وأن الله مخزن وأذان من الله ورسوله للناس وأن الله بريء من الشرك ورسوله وإن تبتم. So tubtum, you've got the first word over here. Let me try to make the screen a bit clear. All right. So you got the first one over here, tubtum. So tubtum, with this dhamma on the ta, you say, oh yeah, I've seen this before. It sounds like qultum. So tubtum, you're going to say, okay, right? Let me just draw this and say, tum is like qultum. And hence, it follows the same rules. So, qala yaqulu. And this one's going to be taba. 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 Yatubu. Right, taba yatubu. Right, so that's how you're going to slowly start to identify in tubtum. This is from Tawbah. If you repent, right? If you repent. And over here, فَإِن تَابُوا. فَإِن تَابُوا. So you see, قَالُوا. Now you can see the kind of like similarities when you start going through the Quran and you start finding these words. You can say, oh yeah, oh look at that. This, I've seen this over here. I've seen this over here. We came across this in class. Okay, let's look for another one. So again, فَإِن تَابُوا وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ. Okay. Yakunu. Okay, so you got one over here now. Yakunu. So yakunu, it sounds like yaqulu. And this also falls under this pattern as well, which also equals yakunu. Yeah. So you've got kana, yakunu. Now, that table that we had for yaqulu, the same thing will apply to this. Yakunu, yakunani, yakununa, etc. Kana, 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 kanu, kanata, kunna. Kunta, kuntuma, kuntum, kunti, and it just goes on. Right? It carries on. Okay. Right, I think you guys got the idea of how this works. And as we go through, we're going to come across more and more examples, inshallah ta'ala. Alright, so this is basically done now. So you have now over here a kind of like an understanding of how these ajwaf wawi verbs kind of work now. So what is left? I just want to build for you guys a kind of like a map of how we're going to be looking at verbs. So if you remember, whenever we look at a verb, right, we look at the mujarrad first of all. So let's take a verb, any verb that we look at. The verb, we look at first of all the mujarrad pattern. Mujarrad. Thulathi mujarrad, the three mujarrad. Thulathi mujarrad basically refers to where you simply only have three letters. Yeah, three letters. Right, so for example, like na, sa, ra. Three letters. The asl letter is only three. And then you have what is known as mazid. Mazid is where you have some extra letters added in, right? Some patterns, right? So you could have a 4, you could have 5, you could have 6, it carries on, yeah? So what we want to do is we want to be able to understand, right, the mazid ones as well. Now, if you remember previously when I drew out for you guys these the tree, right, and I told you about the tree. This is basically what I'm talking about over here. So if you look at this tree, this is the mujarrad, and then all of these are the mazid, the ones with extra letters added in, right? And then the clock, if you remember, I showed you guys. These are like loads of notes. These are right. So the clock over here. So if you look at this clock, this is the mujarrad. 1 o'clock is mujarrad, and then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, and 10. These are all mazid. These have extra words. Now, when you have ajwaf, right? Ajwaf follows these patterns as well. So, for instance, like, let me put this to the side. Let me just show you guys what I mean by this. So, for instance, let's take qala, right? So, first of all, we want to see the qala in the fa'ala pattern. Fa'ala, right? So, it's going to come out like this. Actually, let me use the blue color. Looks a bit nicer. Qala. Okay. Qala yaqulu. Now, if we want to look at it, for example, like in the if'al pattern, af'ala. The af'ala pattern, which is 4 o'clock. Then we're going to say aqala yuqilu. Yeah, aqala yuqilu. Now, some of these verbs are not technically in the language. It's just that I'm just trying to show you how the setup kind of works. Okay. So, fa'ala, af'ala. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Fa'ala. So this is the 2 o'clock one. Fa'ala. Alright, so fa'ala, this would be qawwala. Qawwala. Yuqawwilu. Qawwala yuqawwilu. Fa'ala. Then for example, like let's look at fa'ala yufa'ilu. This is the 3 o'clock one. Yeah, 3 o'clock. So let's say for instance like we've got qawwala. قاول يقاول. Okay, فاعل. And then let's say, for example, let's take, what else is there? فعل, okay. تفعل. تفعل. Oops. تفعل. Right, so تقول. تقول. يتقول. يتقول. تقول يتقول. And then you can take this, the sixth pattern, which is تفاعل. تفاعل. So تقاول. يتقاول. Okay, and then let's say, for example, we take the seventh pattern, which is إن فعل. إن فعل. Right, so in, now see, this one doesn't really exist, right? So إن قال ينقال. So إن قال ينقال. So إن قال ينقال. Right, so some of these don't exist, but they are theoretically, this is how you would have written it if they did exist. Okay, so next one is the eighth pattern. If تعال. يفتعل. افتعال. So this would be اقتال. اقتال. يقتال. اقتال يقتال. Right? And last one that we're going to do is استفعل. Okay, so this would have been استقال. 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 So استقال يستقيل. يستقيل. استقال. So as you notice, you have wow in there, and this is ajwaf because it occurs in the ain kalima of all of these. Right? The ain kalima is this one, and it occurs in the ain kalima of all of these. And as you can see, it's slightly different. So in the sarf, when we're going through ajwaf, when I do ajwaf wawi and ya'i, what I'll do is I'll go through these as well, so I can show you guys how these work as well, how the pattern for these work, and then we can move on. So once we've covered an entire all of ajwaf, you'll be able to understand, inshallah, how the ajwaf works and the various patterns that the ajwaf applies to, and this will make it much more easier for you to be able to appreciate the verbs in the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So what did we cover today? So today we covered the yakhafu. Yeah, we said how it's made. We also talked about how we have various examples of verbs, and these verbs, like for example nom, nama, yanam, how do we figure it out? And we might have some examples of various dialects where there's a difference of opinion of how the verb is based, and based on that it could change. So like mata yamutu or mata yamatu, all of that could be affected. So jazakallah khair. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Inshallah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much to all my patrons, all your supporters, guys, everyone who donates to the channel and supports my channel. You guys are the brilliant people who enable me to be able to make lots and lots of videos. So again, really appreciate all your work and your effort. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair, guys, for all of your support. Without your support, I wouldn't have been able to produce the videos that I've put up on my YouTube channel. And there is so much more that I really want to do. And without the support of you guys who are patrons, generously supporting this channel, I've been able to get myself a camera, which as you guys can see, the quality of this camera. mic system, software. I've been able to hire an editor. So what do I want to do? I want to make lots and lots and lots of more videos for beginners, for intermediate, advanced in the subjects like Arabic and fiqh and hadith and tafsir and aqidah and all those other things as well. And for this to happen, again, this channel needs support. So if you guys want to become patrons and support this channel, then check out the link below. Also, if you do become patrons, you'll have access to videos that I don't put up on my normal YouTube channel. So check that out, inshallah. And there's most other perks as well that you guys can benefit from. And if you want to access this channel through social media, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, Facebook page, and other things as well that you can visit. So jazakumullah khair again, guys. Thank you very much for your support. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair for watching this video. I hope to see all of you guys. If you guys are interested, please leave us feedback, get in contact with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.